Hi, my name is Jeanette, and I want to thank you for joining me on the channel Jane Reads. So today I am going to talk about my thoughts on the Christiansen Family series by Susan May Warren. So this is a 7-book series. The first 6 books originally came out between 2013 and 2016. And then in November of 21, she came out with book number 7, which was Have Yourself a Christiansen Christmas, which was picking up from where book 6 left off. Now, when I read the summary on the back of about book 7, I was like, ooh, that sounds a little depressing. And I really liked where book 6 ended for the family. And I was like, I don't know. So I held off on reading it. But then in my Bookmas videos, on day 7, my best friend added a book to my TBR for December. I did have an option of 4 books, like I had to choose one of the 4 books to add. So I kind of did it to myself a little bit, is that I chose book number 7 out of the 4 options she gave me. So, and being a series person, and the fact that I had read 1 to 6 in 2016, which it's a few years ago. So I'm like, how fresh is it in my mind? So I decided before I read book 7 this past December, I would read all 6 books again. So this was my 3rd time or 2nd time reading the first 6 books, depending which book. Book number 1 was my 3rd time, book number 6 it was my 2nd time, for example. Okay, so basically the Christiansen family is 6 siblings, 3 boys and 3 girls, and then their parents. But each of the 6 books focuses really on one of the siblings and kind of their story. And then there is usually a second storyline going on with either another sibling or another set of characters. It is a contemporary romance series, so there is romance in it. I'm going to try not to spoil it as much as I can for the couples, but that's going to be really difficult, so I'm going to try my best. Then there are 2 novellas, one at the very beginning, like a prequel, and then one about halfway through. I did not read those ones because I don't have them. And I should mention, I read all 7 books on my Kindle. So pictures will have to be inserted because I don't have the physical books to hold up. Okay, so the 2 novellas do feature the parents, and you get to know kind of how the parents got together and then kind of how they're feeling as starting to become empty nesters. So all the 6 siblings are all in their 20s, early 30s, like kind of in adults anyways, right? So it is set in Deep Haven, Minnesota, and the family runs the Evergreen Resort, which has been inherited. It was inherited to the oldest son from his father, and then the father had inherited from his father. So it's passed down through a couple generations. Okay, so book number 1 is Take a Chance on Me. And this one features the oldest son, Derek, who has inherited the Evergreen Resort. Okay, so Derek has a young son, Tiger, who is 6, I think, at the time. And his wife has passed away due to an accident that happened. And then, so there's kind of his storyline going on. And then there is a second storyline with Jensen and Claire. Now, Jensen and Derek were best friends until the accident happened, and that kind of ruined their friendship. And then Claire was also part of their friend group with Derek's wife that had passed away. And so the 4 of them hung out all the time, were really good friends. Then the accident happened, and that just ruined that whole group of friends. So you get to know kind of from Derek's point of view and from Jensen's point of view and from Claire's point of view. And personally, I wasn't a fan of Derek. He has had issues and he's trying to overcome some of those issues, but he's still, to me, I don't know. I just didn't click with him. And every time it switched over to either Jensen's point of view or Claire's point of view, I was much more invested in them and wanting to know them and feeling for them. But that was my personal. I'm just realizing how much I talk with my hands. That is kind of a personal opinion, but I really enjoyed kind of this setting and getting to know the family and the characters. So I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. It gives a nice introduction to getting to know the Christiansens and kind of the setting of Deep Haven and about the Evergreen Resort. The quote that I took from this one is, "God doesn't love you because you may or may not be a good man, Jensen. He loves you because he chooses to." So then book 2 picks up immediately where book 1 ends. Each book does that, picks up right away. And book 2 is mainly set in Minneapolis because that's where Eden Christensen lives, who is the oldest girl. And she lives there. She works as an obituary writer, and she went for journalism, so she's not really happy being in the obits department, but she is learning and kind of hoping to move into another department. And then she in Minneapolis is also Owen Christiansen, who is the youngest Christiansen, and he plays professional hockey for the St. Paul Blue Ox. And Eden has really become kind of his guardian, sort of. I mean, he's 18, 19, 20 at this time. He's legal age anyways, and doesn't really need a guardian, but Eden feels that she has to look after him and take. And Owen was hard to like because of his attitude. His fame from signing on with professional hockey, kind of making all this money, really went to his head and felt like he could do whatever he wanted. And then Eden is left picking up the pieces. And Eden gets into a debate with the captain of the hockey team. And like, you should be a better influence for these boys. And kind of things go from there and things develop. So the secondary storyline, there's a little bit about Owen, but the secondary storyline really focuses on Sam, who is a former hockey player who has a relationship to one of the hockey players. And he is raising his young 9-year-old daughter who has health issues and is in the hospital, has already had a heart transplant once, but there's complications arising, and they're trying to figure out how to solve that, and Sam has to make some really tough decisions. And I fell in love with the character of Eden, but I also fell in love with the secondary storyline with Sam. I just loved kind of getting to know him, and I could totally see his struggles and his issues and just the heartbreak for him. I could have spent so much more time with him, but unlike the first book where I just wanted to spend a lot of time with the secondary storyline, I really enjoyed following the first storyline as well. So Eden is at the hospital because an accident has happened. Owen is in the hospital, and she comes across this guy who is in a coma, but he's a John Doe, and they don't know who he is. So Eden decides she kind of forms a connection, wants to figure out who this guy is. So she starts taking like her journalism and kind of investigating and trying to figure it out. And so following that storyline was really interesting for me. So I really liked both sides of the storyline. And so I gave this book 5 stars because I really, really enjoyed getting to know these characters in this one. And the quote that I took from this one is, God's love is too bright for the darkness to win. So then book 3 focuses on Grace Christiansen, who is the middle daughter, and she is a chef trying to start up a catering business. And while she is catering Derek's wedding, her family gifts her a trip to Hawaii to a cooking program, and like a summer cooking program. And while like she's really hesitant about going there, because she's very much a homebody and it doesn't like to leave her comfort zone. But one of the members of the hockey team also goes there in the summer, and so he is asked to kind of look out for her and kind of show her around, kind of help her get somewhat comfortable with being in Hawaii rather than being in Deep Haven. And so the two of them meet before their planned meeting and really kind of connect, but then it's like, oh, we gotta go meet this other person, and now I don't want to, and then it turns out they are that other person, right? So that, I really enjoyed following these two characters. And then the guy in the storyline is dealing with illness that not affecting him right at the moment, but will affect him down the line because of family heredity. And so he is trying to live life to the fullest and not get connected with anybody and kind of keep himself apart, because, you know, he's like, I don't want to hurt people or see people suffer or have people feel for me and start suffering for me and kind of whatever, right? Like, so he wants to keep at arm's length from everybody. I really enjoyed both of these characters. And then there's the second storyline of Casper Christiansen, who is the middle son. And he starts falling for a girl, and then all of a sudden the girl just kind of really pushes him away and doesn't tell him what happened and anything. And Casper is the type of person who, he's the middle child, wants to fix everything, keep everybody happy, and he's also kind of a treasure hunter. He went into archaeology, and just he wants to find treasure and kind of be that. So then when this happens, when this girl starts pushing him away and he has no idea what happened, why, he's really like kind of, he's struggling with that. So I didn't really connect as well with the secondary storyline as I did the first storyline. I really enjoyed, for being I'm not really a cook. I do it because I have to, but it's not an enjoyment for me. And so not having a connection with food like that, I thought following like Grace's experience at the cooking school and kind of everything that goes on there, I wouldn't connect it with it as well because I just don't care about food. And so, but it was really interesting to me. I really enjoyed it. And so I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars because I really enjoyed following her character and the guy in this story. Now, I want to say I'm a huge hockey fan. And so I think because the guy is a hockey player and the guy in the previous book was a hockey player, I think that kind of really helped my enjoyment a bit. Maybe that could be why I really liked it. So the quote that I took from this one is, "Don't let the suffering steal the richness of life. Focus on life." So again, I said I gave this one 4 out of 5. So then book number 4 is Always on My Mind. This one, the main character is Casper Christiansen, so it picks up from where book 3 ended. And then the secondary storyline again focuses on Derek, the eldest brother, or the eldest son, so Casper's older brother. And so Casper has just come back home from a dig in Honduras that did not go the way he was hoping it would. then him and the girl that had pushed him away, he discovers what the secret was of why she pushed him away, and he's really hurt and not sure how to deal with it. But yet, just like the title of the book says, always on my mind, Casper cannot get her off of his mind. It keeps thinking about her and is like, okay, I'll just pray for her and I'll be a friend with her, and maybe it can't go the way I want it to go, but we can at least be friends. And so he really tries to just be a friend to her. But the girl gets involved with a guy who really she should not be involved with. I could not stand this guy, and I think we're meant to not like this guy. And she is just settling because she doesn't feel like she deserves anything better. She feels like she's kind of, this is all she deserves in life because of things she's done. And that was heartbreaking, because no, don't settle like you do. And if somebody's not treating you right, get out of the relationship. So that just, yeah, I really like the whole situation that Casper and her are in is really difficult and really messy. And it was like, but I really liked Casper and where he really tried to be a friend to her. So Derek feels in over his head with the resort. He is struggling to keep things afloat, and he's like, I think I need to... He makes a decision that I don't think was the right decision, and somebody around him, it was not happy with him about that decision. And it was kind of like, no, like, talk and figure it out. So I didn't connect with Derek in book one really as much. So I think in this one it was just, oh, you haven't improved. I mean, he has changed from who he was in book one, but the fact that he's decided he's going to do this instead. Now that doesn't happen because of other events that happen, and his eyes are kind of opened, but it was still, it was hard to kind of, I don't know, I didn't connect with him as much. But because I really enjoyed following Casper and the girls' storyline and getting to know them, I still gave this book 4 out of 5 stars, because the family learns and faith is shown and leaning on God and trusting Him. So the quote that I took from this one is, God showing up in our lives to love us despite ourselves. That is the treasure we can find every single day. So then book number 5 is The Wonder of You. This one features Amelia, who is the youngest Christiansen kid. And so she went off to Prague hopefully for a year. Like, she had planned to go for a year after high school for a photography course. But something happens while she's there and she ends up coming home early. And then this guy arrives in Deep Haven, who she met in Prague, and because of the incident that happened, he comes to Deep Haven and wants to try to win her heart. But she doesn't know whether to trust him or not because of what happened. And then there is a guy in Deep Haven, it's kind of her high school boyfriend, and he's trying to kind of reconnect and rebuild, and he has their life planned out for them. And so Amelia feels torn between these two guys. She's got the one who is the familiar, the known, kind of the safe route. And then this other guy who is the unknown, who has hurt her once, but her heart is kind of telling her to go this way. But yet she's like, she's being hurt, what do I do? So she's really torn between the two guys. Now, I do not like love triangles, so that kind of just really, that was not for me. I didn't really enjoy that side of it, but I really enjoyed how Claire and Jensen from book 1 really kind of welcomed this guy from Prague and kind of helped him, encouraged him to go after Amelia. and try. And then Derek even gets on board and starts teaching the guy some stuff so that he can kind of look better in Amelia's eyes than the other guy, kind of encouraging him to win Amelia's heart. So that was kind of cool because the family wasn't really on board with this guy in the beginning. So then to see Derek come on board was really encouraging. And it was really entertaining to watch kind of the events that happened. So then there is a second storyline with Grace and some events that are going on in her life now. And it just, I fell in love with Grace and her relationship. So kind of seeing them again and have a really prominent storyline in this book was great. And their storyline is kind of, I don't know if heartbreaking, heartwarming, like they're struggling with issues, but it just, I don't know, I loved it. And the moment when the little girl spoke for the first time was like, oh, like that was heartbreaking because it's, yeah, like I had tears when that happened because of what was said, and it just, I loved that. So for this one, I was much more invested in the secondary storyline than the first storyline, but it didn't take anything away from it because I really enjoyed seeing kind of previous characters have very prominent role in this book, because Grace and then Jensen and Claire. So I still gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. Then the quote that I took is, "There is nothing that God won't forgive." How true is that? Okay, so then book number 6 is You're the One I Want. So this is Owen's Story. And I did not like Owen in book number 2. And then he kind of has a role a little bit in book number 3. And I was like, So the first time I read this book, I rated it 3 out of 5 stars because, as I said, I did not like Owen. I wasn't a fan. But then when I read it this time, I don't know, like he really grew on me, and I really like, he has changed from who he was in book 2. He is not that angry young man anymore and really trying to do what is right. And the way that he treated the girl in this book, like I just, wow, like I grew, I loved him. Like it was, I don't know, different time in my life, I guess. And yeah, so the girl's storyline is I really liked how she was really trying to do the right thing. It might have hurt everyone around her, but she was just trying to do the right thing. And I was so proud of her for that. And the fact that Owen could see that, I don't know, I think that helped me like him, right? And then the secondary storyline is happening with Casper. And as I said, I kind of liked Casper, but kind of the more I spent time with Casper, I don't know, he became my new Owen, I guess. I just wasn't a fan of him. At the very beginning of the book, he shows up at the hospital, and Owen's in the hospital. And the way he starts talking to him right away, and it was like, Casper, did you not learn anything from your book? Like, it was just, I don't know, I just did not like the way he was speaking to him. Now, I know that brothers speak to each other differently than sisters or a sister and brother relationship. Like, I get that. They still love each other, but they're mean to each other sometimes, and I do get that, but he irked me. And then when things didn't go his way, he started becoming mad and kind of grumpy, and then trying to take things in his own hand instead of trusting the Lord. And in his book, he learned, trust the Lord. Like that was kind of his lesson, is having faith and let God will work things out the way he wants to work things out. Don't take them into your own hand. And in this book, no. He starts taking them into his own hand again. It's like, okay, now I know, like, we're human. Humans tend to repeat the same mistakes over and over again. That's totally what happened here. But it just, I don't know. Yeah. So, what else? But there is one scene that happens in book number 5 that at the time it happened, I was thinking, why was that there? Like, okay, that didn't make any sense. But then it becomes a very pivotal moment in book number 6 and kind of changes where events are heading in book 6. And it was like, oh, that's why that happened, so that this could happen. It was like, wow, like it was just such great foreshadowing and so well done that it was like, when I read it in book 5, I didn't think anything of it other than, well, that was kind of weird, but whatever. Like, that seemed out of place, but whatever. And then when you read it in book 6 and realize what an impact it has on the events that are happening now, it's like, oh, so that's why that was put, right? Like, it was like, so that was really cool. I really enjoyed the way that was done. So the quote that I took from this one is, there are no chance happenings with God. God does not stumble around wondering what he's doing. So I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars. Now, as I said before, I felt the series was great at book 6. And when I read the summary for book 7, before like I read it, right, when it first came out, it was like, oh. So like, cause let me pull it up to read it to you. Okay, so it says, it's Christmas in the winter wonderland town of Deep Haven, and the Christiansen kids are all heading home for the holidays, but no one feels very merry. Grace is worried. Eden is facing devastating news. Casper is in over his head. Amelia is dodging a walk down the aisle, and Owen, well, he just nearly died again. But it's Derek who has news that might destroy the family's legacy. Like, it was just like, that doesn't sound very Christmassy or very happy or very, like, what's happening to these people that I've gotten to love, right? So I didn't read it when it first came out because it was like, oh, I'm hesitant about it. I don't know. But I picked it up and I read it, and I'm so glad I did. I will say it starts very depressing because you're learning everything that these 6 kids are going through, or kids. They're not really kids anymore, they're all adults, but these 6 are going through, and things are not happily ever after. Now, I mean, it's real life, right? So everybody is struggling with something, and they've all come home for Christmas for different reasons. Some think they come home because somebody else is sick, or so-and-so needs help, or like, it's just a ton of various reasons. And communication. So much could have been fixed in a lot of their relationships if they just communicated with their partner or with their family members. Like, it was just like, wow. Like, it just showed the importance of communication. Now, if you have not read the previous 6, don't read this book, because it really, there's so many characters, because I mean there's 6 siblings in the first one, right? And then there's their romantic interests. So that's 12 people, plus the parents, plus any of the community members. That's a lot of characters to keep track of. So if you don't know these characters, don't pick up this book until you've gotten to know these characters. And be in the right mindset, because it does start out very depressing, and you're kind of like, how can this turn into a nice, heartwarming Christmas story? Right? Like, it was just like, because it's heavy. There are heavy issues happening. And again, it was Owen that I was rooting for. I mean, I was still rooting for Eden and Grace as well, but it was Owen. And I love the way this wrapped up his story. Like, kind of where the book left him at the end. And it was just like, okay, perfect. I'm good. Yeah. I still, out of all the storylines, it was really Casper and Derek and Amelia that I just didn't really care about. Like, it was just, so my favorite characters out of all these 6 kids are Eden, Grace, and Owen. Now, I never thought I would say Owen for the guys. I really thought it was Casper, but I don't know, this time I just didn't connect with him, and it just, yeah. But, and I mean, there are other guys I liked. So the partners of the girls, I really, really liked. But I don't want to say their names because I don't want to give it away. But I really liked them. But kind of, if I put it all together, it's the hockey players. That's so funny. And my husband doesn't play hockey. So, I mean, there's nothing there. My husband doesn't really watch hockey unless I turn the game on. But yeah, but those are the 3 guys in the series that I like the most. I don't know, just something about them, I guess. So, anyways, I really loved where this story went, and kind of the reminder of faith. Trusting God. God has everything planned out for you. So the quote that I took from this one is, "Life doesn't have to be perfect to be happy. Sometimes you have to find the happy places in between the pain." And that's so true. Because there's going to be the up and down times of life. And if you can find the good times in the midst of the bad times. So I gave this book 4 out of 5 stars again because I just really, really enjoyed it. So this is a series. I love the family connections, and I love the constant flow that the next book picks up right from the book before. Like, I just love that flow of things, and that's why I really enjoyed this series. But there is a ton of faith lessons in this series and characters that you just want to root for and get to know. So yes, so I highly recommend this series. I mean, out of the 7 books, all the books were 4 stars for me, except for book number 2, which was a 5-star. Because I just fell in love with the characters once again. And as I said, this was my 3rd time reading, I think, the first 5 books of the series. First 4 for sure. And then my 2nd time reading 5 and 6. And my 1st time reading book 7. But I would totally pick up this series again at some point. I last read it in 2016, so I'll probably wait till 2026? I don't know. We'll see. I'm not planning my TBR that far ahead. So yeah, so I would say yes. If you're interested in this, and Susan May Warren is one that will draw you in with characters. So yes, I totally recommend this series, and give it a go. Well, I want to thank you for taking the time to watch this, and I hope that you will enjoy this series. Thank you. Have a good day. Bye.